Hello everyone, Scott Sylvan Bell coming to you live from Sacramento, California. It is April 17, 2016, 12:44 in the afternoon. Perfect day to talk about sales training. Now, it seems like the big thing to talk about is closing these days in the sales world. I see it in a lot of forums, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, one of the first trainers that I had told me and shared with me, he said, hey Scott, you know, if you open a sale and you go through the process of getting that person engaged, it is far easier to close the sale. Now, what I see a problem with a lot of salespeople with is the focus from the very beginning they walk into the door is on the close. And what happens is that builds up the resistance of the buyer, and they really don't want to hear the message. They're on edge, and it typically leads to a lot of negotiation and a lot of fighting at the end of the sales call. Now, one of the best things that you can do to open a sale is to go in, ask questions, figure out what the pain of the buyer is, figure out what kind of budget they have. And I'm not saying like to profile the person. If that's what you do, fine, right? But get some sort of budget and then get some sort of commitment that they want to take care of the problem. It's going to be far easier for you to have something to talk about when you get to the end. Now, one of the biggest struggles that I see salespeople with is they speed up through a call because they want to get to the end. They just speed through the call, and then they start trying to throw all these closing tactics and closing strategies down. And what happens is a lot of times they get shot down. A lot of times it leads to unnecessary negotiations. And a lot of times it just leads to a buyer going, you sound like every other salesperson on the planet. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to do that you can really help open up the sale with. So first, ask really good questions. Ask really good questions about the buyer, why they want to do it right now, what's in it for them, who's making the decision, how the decision gets made, what happens if they don't make a decision, what are they going to do with the product or service, how's it going to impact their business or their life, and get that person engaged. Give a really good demonstration once you have all the questions that you need answered, okay? And get that person to talk about what they're going to do with it. Now, that doesn't mean that just making this formula happen is going to make the sale instant and immediate. But what happens is if you're just going in and right into the call and slapping out a presentation and just going, I'll deal with the close at the end of the close, you're creating far more work for yourself that needs to be done. Now, just in theory, most sales performances are going to be uncomfortable for the buyer. But if you've done this every single day and you've sat down and you've sold a bunch, this shouldn't be uncomfortable for you. That should have gone out the window a long time ago. Asking strong, difficult questions for salespeople, it's like in the butterfly area of the stomach, can be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I don't know if I want to ask that, right? But if you don't ask it, what's going to happen is you're going to get to the end and you're going to sound like every other salesperson. So ask really good questions. Give a really good demonstration after all of your questions have been answered, okay? Set the expectations from the sales call from the beginning, set the agenda, and you're going to be okay. That way you can open the sale instead of having to focus on closing it. Now, there you go. That's how you open a sale. Well, you know, wait a minute. I'm going to put one more thing in there. There is an element of rapport that you do have to build, and you do have to build some rapport. Now, here's the thing where it gets tricky for salespeople. Salespeople will get to a point where they built too much rapport in their head that that person's a friend, and they're scared to ask a friend the question they need to ask. If you're feeling that way in a sales process, you have gone too far. There is nothing wrong with building rapport. I believe that you should. But you have to know where the line gets drawn in the sand, where you go from being a consultant, an advisor, a salesperson to becoming a friend. And you know, when that person starts going, come on, man, stop pushing me, they're guilting you for going too far into rapport. So I'm going to add rapport to that mix, but you got to be careful with it. Rapport is cool, but if you focus on it too much, you're going to end up with the buddy rejections. Come on, Scott, I just got to think about it. I promise I'll get back to you. Yeah, that won't happen. All right? Now, if you could do a small favor for me in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story. That would be fantastic. To the right or to the left, there's a subscribe button. You know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. And then you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Come on, why not even LinkedIn? Scott Sylvan Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.